Hi, I'm Jason Fanelli, this is Mike Murphy, and we are sitting with a legend in the gaming industry. This is Mr. Warren Spector, talking about Epic Mickey. Warren, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
I've been saying to myself, I've said it a couple of times now, I can't decide if I'm more of a Disney fan or a game fan with this game. When you were approaching this, did you try to approach it as a game designer, as a Disney fan, or try to think of both at the same time?
You know, you have to think about both. Obviously, I'm a huge game fan, game player, but you know, when you got Mickey Mouse as your star, and you're bringing Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, you know, Disney's forgotten first cartoon star, back to the world. You have to be aware that a lot of Disney fans who may never even thought about playing a game are going to be looking at this and thinking, I should try that. So you got to be thinking about both all the time.
Oswald, who you're bringing back, is going to be one of the main antagonists to Mickey. Does that mean he's going to have some sort of adversarial role with Mickey in the game at some point?
Well, you know, think about it. Oswald is Mickey's older brother. He was for about 18 months, in 1927 and 1928. He was one of the most successful and popular cartoon stars in the world. And then it all came to an end. Walt lost the rights to Oswald in a contract dispute. And all of a sudden, this incredibly popular cartoon star ends up forgotten and rejected. So when Mickey comes along, Oswald resents the heck out of him. I mean, who wouldn't, right? You know, older brother stole the life that should have been mine. I mean, the younger brother stole the life that should have been mine. But he's not an enemy. He's not an antagonist exactly. He's just a guy who resents his younger brother. And Mickey has to sort of reestablish the relationship between them.
Mickey has a great track record in video games with the Super Nintendo game, the Magical Quest, and stuff like that. Would you go back and take a look at those things to see what made them work, what didn't work, so that way you knew how to approach this game?
You know, it's funny. I played a lot of those games. I can't say I played all because I mean there have been a lot of Mickey Mouse games, but I played a lot of them as a player back in the day. But I made a decision not to play any of them as we were working on this game. Because I didn't want to just say, oh, they did that thing, we should do that thing, or they did this, we shouldn't do that. I wanted to make sure that we made the game we wanted to make. So I'm sure those games had an influence, you know, behind the scenes, you know, somewhere back here in the back of my brain. But I consciously decided not to play them. Now that we're pretty much done, I'm thinking, you know, I should go back and play those games just to see if my memories are still accurate and if they're still as much fun as I remember.
In the beginning of the game, in the first cutscene, we see that it was Yen Sid who created the wasteland before Mickey goes and royally screws it up, like he always does with Yen Sid's toys.
Yeah.
Is Yen Sid going to have like a bigger role in the game aside from just the creator of the wasteland?
Well, you know, Yen Sid is an interesting character. He's kind of Walt Disney's alter ego, but he kind of plays a role at the beginning and at the end. But we're not going to bring him too much into the world of Wasteland because, hey, there was just a movie about the guy, right? He's not forgotten or rejected, so he doesn't belong in Wasteland. But you know, I hope he never shows up there.
I got the impression back when I saw it in June that this is going to be a virtual Disney museum with all kinds of references for the Disney fans. So is the non-gamer Disney fan going to be just as willing to play this as a gamer? I hope
non-gamers play it. When you have all of Disney's creative history to draw from, and you are very consciously making a virtual museum, sure, I think there's plenty here for non-gamers, and you know, maybe we can turn some of them into gamers, which would be nice. But I think even if you know, the Disney fans aren't, you know, hardcore gamers, I think they're going to have some fun playing it. I think they're going to find themselves in the middle of a great story in a world that they're going to find really intriguing. But there's also like a meta game you can play, right? The where did that come from game. So much of this world was inspired by stuff from the Disney archives or the Disney parks. The light fixtures on Mean Street, which is our version of Main Street USA, trash cans, well, characters obviously, buildings. I really think Disney fans are going to have a field day figuring out what was the inspiration for that object or that character or that building. We've got a world called Lonesome Manor, which is kind of a mashup of all the different haunted mansions from around the world in the different parks. They're all different.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, you could look at that and go, oh, that part of the building came from Paris, and that part came from Orlando. And that game, I think, is going to be a lot of fun for players, even if they're not running, jumping, painting, erasing, that sort of stuff.
I love the storyboard approach to the cutscenes, radically different from the gameplay itself. What made you decide that would be the best way to convey what you were trying to get at?
Every art director on the planet thought I was crazy. Let me just say,
Really?
I was right. You know, no, the bottom line is the game has 4 different art styles, 4 distinct art styles. So the intro movie and the end game movie are 3D rendered CGI. The world is fully rendered 3D, fully interactive. We have these 2D platforming sections. The way you travel around Wasteland is by jumping into screens and going into Mickey and Oswald cartoons and experiencing them in a different way. And the big story moments are told in these 2D storyboards brought to life. I love it. You know, it's like if we're trying to honor Disney's creative history and creative methods, what better way to do it than to take the concept art and storyboard art of someone like Mary Blair, who's one of Disney's top concept people, and bring it to life. So it's another way of just sort of honoring Disney's past, giving Disney fans something to enjoy, and also present a story in a way that people might not expect. I mean, how many more flashy in-game cutscenes can you stand, right? We wanted to do something that was different and unique, and I think there's more.
Assuming this is the very beginning of the game that's being shown back behind us, can you maybe describe exactly what you're doing in the very beginning of the game?
Oh, sure. The beginning of every game basically is train the player to do simple things, right? I mean, it's really pathetic, but every game has a different control scheme. Every game you have to walk, run, use, talk, all that stuff. You have to train players to do that. But then we also had to train players in some other stuff that other games don't have to worry about. This is the first game, as far as I know, in the history of humankind that has let you remove things from the world. It's not just destroy a building or break a wall. It's erase and remove from the world walls, floors, ceilings, objects, characters, you name it. But then we got really stupid and said, let's let players bring it back, So it really is something that's completely new in the world. And on top of that, in almost all cases, we're not telling the player, here's a place where you must paint something in, or here's a place where you must erase things. We're saying, hey, here's a situation. Do you want to erase stuff or paint it in? You get to decide. And think about when you do that, because that's going to change things. I mean, every choice you make has consequences and rewards. So we have to train the player on all that stuff.